Maserati go crazy.
Microphone check 1 2. It's hip hop legal in full effect. Ladies and gents, we're here and we're talking about it. Trump's pardon list. Doesn't it bring a smile to your face? A smile similar to the one that we're looking at on the screen right now of the great Donald J. Trump. And who would have known that the J stood for Jerome or Jethro or Javon? You dig? Anyway, in an effort to further ingratiate himself with the hip hop community, and by proxy, have something that he can hang his hat on in terms of what he has done for the black community at large. Okay, I'm kidding. Listen, he got these dudes out of prison, got some of them commutations, and got some of them some pardons, just was handing them out. And we're not sure if there's anything tied to those favors, if you will, which, it is what it is. Whoever signed that check, hopefully they can cash it. But I will tell you this in terms of Kodak. Let's step back and put him on screen. Let's hope that he's someone that becomes a tool and an agent for positive change and positivity towards our community. Because unfortunately, he hasn't been here. And what tends to happen, especially when guys get back, is it's in this inevitable path towards destruction, not only for themselves, but for those around them. And when we reflect back, really, our communities, let's think about when Tupac came home back in the day and how just him joining up with Death Row, which segues perfectly in terms of Harry O, which we'll talk about in a second. But when Pac came home back in the day from the initial charge, I believe the sexual assault that occurred, and was home on an appeal, he went down a path towards destruction. And when we reflect back, you got to think about the entities that were involved and what their motivation was. So I hate to say it, I would hate that somehow we find out behind the scenes that there's someone controlling the strings that further wants to use hip hop to destroy a community, which, by the way, anyone along those lines or that's involved in that endeavor, and you're listening to this, consider this as a wake-up call. No more. You're not going to be able to use the same ridiculous strategies that we all understand why, in terms of you just trying to make it all about money, that you would use to create a deficit and further destroy the credibility of a community by putting a tether in position that maybe does not have any vested interest in that community and giving them a few trinkets, a few dollars here and there in hopes that they push forward your objective. So we get it, but we're going to hold them accountable on our end. Whether locked up or on the outside, the only thing that we're praising moving forward is honorable men, honorable moves that black men pursue. And that's from hip hop legal standpoint and any other entity that I am personally involved in or know of. This is a paradigm shifting moment here. And so, again, Trump may have done this, who knows why, but we're going to turn all of these into positives because God bless these folks for being home now, for being pardoned, having a clean record, knowing good and well that far too many folks don't have that opportunity and have dirty records based off of a system that unfortunately has been proven now to be extremely racist. All right, so first and foremost, let's start off with the individuals that were pardoned. We have the one and only Dwayne Michael Carter Jr. I think that's his full name. Okay, I'm kidding. Of course that's his full name. But you may know him as Lil Wayne or Little Louisiana or Louisiana Piranha or Wizzle F Baby. Please say the baby. So many different names all throughout a generation. What a good time that was, wasn't it? But getting back on point, yeah, Lil Wayne got pardoned and it stemmed from an initial meeting. We're getting these details now, but apparently Wayne went to go meet with Trump at the Doral Trump Club, the golf club out there, and they sat down, had a nice meet. Again with Bradford Cohen, a heavyweight attorney out here representing not only Wayne, but he also represented Kodak on various fronts. And in fact, I think he got a 2 for 2 here. He got two of his clients a presidential pardon. That's pretty effing awesome, man, from a legal standpoint. So kudos to Bradford Cohen, Esquire, for being one of the best entertainment lawyers out here, especially in the South Florida region. But that being said, the meeting took place, and after the initial intro, Wayne pretty much talked about his life, and I guess that resonated with Trump somehow, because apparently he liked him, and I'm sure he respected the fact that afterwards, Wayne posted a picture on his IG of him standing next to Trump, giving a thumbs up, and giving him the endorsement. Which, look, listen, man, you got to make the best decisions for yourself in this life. But obviously, it's better to position yourself to be more of a instrument of positivity and to be used and have that as leverage versus being an instrument of destruction. And so that is the larger point here, that I think Wayne, again, turning that, into that place in his life. I'm sure now as an older man, hopefully his intentions are to put the best out into the universe as possible, as opposed to destroying a community. So that popped off for Wayne, and kudos to him, because he was looking at a little bit of time there, especially being someone in possession of a firearm. But I wonder, the drug charges, apparently it was heroin and some other things that hip-hop hasn't accepted yet, by the way, but hey, I guess dudes are doing them, you know what I'm saying? But I guess those charges got thrown out. Sometimes the criminal justice system kills me, man, how it applies this level of hypocrisy and almost just kind of dares people to question it, and we just have to accept it. And, it's okay for most folks from the outside looking in until they're thrown into that same position and they ask for that same level of leniency and they don't get it. But I digress. And I tell you what I find interesting, I was reading this article in which Bradford Cohen was quoted as stating that a lot of folks sort of, gravitate towards Trump because his style is similar to the style of, a lot of these guys that kind of carry themselves the same way. And so that's why they see themselves like Trump. But I got to tell you, man, hip hop has been responsible. You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. Hip hop was responsible for Donald Trump getting into office because they rapped about him for nearly a decade or two and made him the pinnacle of success and the embodiment of what it means to be successful in America. Everything Donald Trump, everything big, everything Trump-esque. So I guess this is a little bit of a thank you very much for getting this done for me. A favor for a favor. Anyway, moving right along. Now this person, again, is another client of Mr. Bradford Cohen. And Bradford Cohen actually represented, or still represents, Corey Lewandowski, which is someone else that is in the Trump orbit, if you will. And so this is a heck of a move here to get his, clients involved and get them in the door to have been able to get their pardons and their clemencies. And so with Kodak, though, again, named Bill K. Capri, let's call him what the man name is. He changed his name to Bill K. Capri, but he was born Dusan Octave. But he was granted a commutation, which will forgive the remainder of his 46-month sentence for lying on background paperwork while attempting to buy guns. And according to Bradford, he served half of the time thus far that he was given and could be released ASAP out of Chicago. And while many folks paid thousands of dollars, interestingly enough, for Kodak to be able to finagle this commutation, he used a very strategic social media campaign by getting folks to write letters You're talking about Lamar Jackson from the Baltimore Ravens to former New York Police Department Commissioner, believe it or not, Bernard Kerik. And these individuals vouch for Kodak's character and philanthropy. And that route was less conventional. And, again, having supporters like Gucci Mane and Lil Yachty and Vanilla Ice obviously does not hurt. But Kodak, though, needs to be very careful for many reasons. As I stated before in the beginning, we, in terms of hip-hop lovers, always believe in second chances and opportunities to redeem yourself. But he's going to be coming out with a sexual assault, alleged sexual assault, let's be clear. But he was under indictment for that one, and that was out of South Carolina. And this occurred back in 2016. But a trial has been repeatedly delayed. And apparently he faces up to 30 years in prison if convicted on that one. So that exists there, and it is looming and hovering over the head of someone like Kodak Black. Moving along, we have the great, the legendary, quiet as kept, you may not know him, but real hip-hop heads know of him, Mr. Harry O. Mr. Harris, to be clear. Michael Harry O. Harris was responsible for bankrolling Death Row. Early on, he was one of the financiers and actually ran into some troubles. Well, his business partners ran into troubles, if we're being honest here. But Suge Knight is who I'm speaking of specifically, kind of tried to screw him over and really didn't do it because Harry O's wife got paid while he was out. But Freeway Rick Ross, the crack dealer turned businessman and entrepreneur and motivational speaker, what have you, he's a good guy these days. But he talked about how when he was locked up with Harry O, again, who's been down for 30 plus years, and is finally on his way home after that experience. But he talked about how they had the initial conversation with, I believe, Michael Kenner or Bruce Kenner. I forget the first name. But the gentleman is an attorney out of L.A., and he, again, brought the potential business opportunity to Harry O to finance Death Row. And sure enough, they did, man, and it turned into a $100 million entity, but eventually got sold off because of how reckless Suge was, which, it is what it is. But you talk about someone that has had a hand in one of the greatest rappers to ever pick up a mic, man, and be involved in this music thing. I mean, I showed you a picture of him earlier, Tupac. If it wasn't for Harry O, there wouldn't be a Tupac, at least in terms of the grandeur that sort of backed him towards the tail end of his career and life. But Harry O is someone that, if you talk to any OGs, they'll tell you that this is a stand-up guy that on many of occasions had an opportunity to come home earlier just to give up information on different individuals, but did not provide that information and stood tall along the way and is on his way home. So God bless him. The other person that was involved in this whole commutation and clemency scenario here is someone that is not really known too much in the industry. Obviously is behind the scenes, but the name has been thrown out there, and in fact, it's been used as a negative sort of attribute that is associated with Roc Nation. I forget when the beef was happening, but at one point, someone threw out the idea that Roc Nation keeps quote-unquote snitches around them because of the individuals that work closely with Jay-Z, and at the top of Roc Nation have a storied past that may have some allegations of snitching. If you don't know who I'm talking about, this is going to be Ms. Desiree Perez. She's the chief executive at Roc Nation, actually, which is a management company and label with a social justice component. She was convicted in 1994 of conspiracy with intent to distribute drugs. Ms. Perez said she has applied for the pardon just 2 days earlier, after seeing news reports of Trump's plans for his final hours in office. She says, "I feel good, but a little numb," Ms. Perez said in a phone interview. "I haven't forgiven myself, and I'm not sure I ever will." Wow, that's an interesting statement. Pretty heavy. Ms. Perez, she stated that she has worked closely with the NFL in their partnership with Jay-Z, and the White House called her an advocate for criminal justice reform in her community. Uh, and, she was quoted as stating this: there's been so much judgment that goes along with a conviction without the time and reflection from others about it. How did someone end up in that place? My story has a reason, Miss Perez said. Everyone's story has a reason. I'm just a girl from the Bronx, and to think about all the things that I had to overcome and how I persevered to get where I am, well, now you're making me cry. But she was asked about her feelings about Trump, and she deflected at that time and stated that I would prefer to not answer that question today. She said, it's not the best etiquette. So, last but not least, we have the former mayor of Detroit, Mr. Kwame Kilpatrick, a eloquent brother. When I've seen him talk, I've always been like, that's how you're supposed to carry yourself as a black man that is in a position of power. Unfortunately, he got involved into some things that became problematic for not only his career, but also his freedom. He got sent off to the feds. I forget how much time he got, but he was going to be sitting there for a minute. And he got blessed. He got blessed, and he'll be home soon, I imagine. And that's one of those that I think certain aspects of the black community may take note and ingratiate themselves again with someone like Trump, despite everything that transpired. So watch closely and realize that politics makes strange bedfellows. Last but not least, we have an honorable mention here. And look, I'm sorry, I don't want to do it. It's not in good taste to laugh at the situation. But YFN Lucci is not going to get a pardon or clemency. In fact, he's going to be in some trouble here based off of these alleged crimes, which have a horrendous sort of spin to it. And the timing of this is very crazy and may implicate some other individuals. But we're going to do a deep dive into this at some point. Just wanted to put that out there. And so we'll close out with this. The Donald Trump presidency clearly ended on a bad note. But I think it was a very interesting moment. And shouldn't have ended any other way when you think about the universe and how things truly work. And those of us that are paying attention and that recognize what's transpiring in this world should all look at it as a wake-up call that no one can operate in a way where they, again, have no sense of accountability and don't sort of care what comes along with their reactions, because you can't move unimpeded in this society, even as a white man. And you could nearly be a billionaire. In Trump's case, I don't know if he's truly a billionaire, but you're gonna have problems if you don't know how to play the game the right way. And I think the right way is more so about playing the game honestly and playing the game in a way where you don't disrespect people left and right. I mean, you can have your feelings about them, but to start making certain moves when you're in a position of power that are clearly representative of your vitriol or anger towards certain groups and individuals, and beyond that, fanning the flames that can get this society going, and really the aspects of this society that many folks would never have expected to go to that place. Insurrection, these things we never thought would happen, but they did, and we had to make a change. We did make a change technically when we voted, to get him out of office, but some folks still believe that wasn't the case. God bless you if you don't. I'm not here to challenge any individual based off of their delusions. But I will say that as Americans moving forward, and more so hip-hop heads, we still need to take that ownership that we've always had in terms of leading this society and in this culture, as far as making the cool things, the things that other people follow, other groups follow. It's hip-hop that does it. And so, what that entails. And I will say this to people that maybe feel like they want to bring a contradictory response to what hip hop truly means, which again is about inclusivity. That's the bottom line of it. If you're against that, then you got to step out of this culture, man. You're not going to partake in it. If you want to listen to the music, go and listen to it in your own little corner. But there's no way you're going to take certain aspects of the culture without accepting the people that created the culture. So that was my little rant there, a little hip hop legal rant. But we'll see how this plays out, man. Hopefully these people stay out, and we'll see what happens to Trump. We'll see if any of these people become spokespeople for Trump now, and have to wash his hands or scratch his back when their time comes up. So, anyway, thank you for checking out Hip Hop Legal. You want and only source for hip hop, the law, politics, and anything else in between.